So I'm wondering whether that can affect it.
Isn't there a prediction that the evaporation and precipitation will in any case increase when the temperature goes up?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, there's an equation, process factor equation, which says that for every degree centigrade rise in temperature, there will be 7% increase in relative humidity, to maintain relative humidity. And
I mean,
actually, the other thing is that, actually, if you really look at it, actually, my interest in this climate change is basically, they say that people in the South Asia would be the most affected.
Oh.
Actually, there was this, there's an international strategy for disaster resolution. They had put up a report which said that the water-related deaths due to floods has increased by 13% from, say, 1990, some 7 years or so. They also say that the risk of water-related disasters has also gone up by 25%, and 75% of that is valid for South, where monsoons are there. I think that's what really bothers me. I believe that the whole world may be able to, okay, what's 2 degrees centigrade, no issue. We have plentiful mild temperatures, so we like that 2 degrees centigrade rise. They would mind it. Actually, you can live with temperature increase, but you cannot live with 2 degrees in precipitation. That's the key thing. Actually, that's why I believe SARC has a role to play, and SARC need to emphasize we want a solution for this.
Anyone else who wants to?
Yeah, maybe I'll just say a couple of things before I forget about the
2 degree rise in temperature. Yeah, you're right. It would be very nice, I think, for the tourists and people like that. But the problem with the 2 degree rise is it's not we are not dealing with a static system. So it may not come up to 2 degrees and stop. It may hit 2 degrees as part of a kind of a process which may go up and down and we don't know where it will go. So somewhere along that process we may get roasted, and that wouldn't be so funny.
And also, it's not about humans like Dr. Zubair, it's like
That's right.
ecosystem.
I agree on that. But I said that people might think, okay, we can live with 2 degrees centigrade.
Yeah,
but
because
we can't
Yeah.
live with precipitation.
We may be like as humans technically live with the 2 degrees increase,
but
but
not
like
from when.
yeah, but if you like
yeah.
like if, like Dr. Zubair said, like it may affect a certain small species that may throw up different sort of scenario where we still can't even sort of perceive.
So I believe that climate change need to be solved. I totally
So that's the next thing I want to comment on, this whole question of problems and solving problems. I am not quite sure what a problem actually is in the first place. It seems to be something that human beings have from time to time. And then they decide that the problem has got to be solved. And then the solutions that they bring to the problem very often cause bigger problems than the problem that they set out to solve. So this whole question of how we define problems is something we have to look at very carefully, and whether we are going to solve problems or whether we are going to respond to problems and relate to them and learn to live with them in a certain sense is also something which may be interesting to look at. So talking about problems, I have 4 favorite problems. Especially it's developed over the last few years. I think from 2008, when this global economic crisis gave me a bit of a shock, because I know it developed in 2006 and I was looking at the figures and watching it happen, but I think it was a bit lazy, and I thought it'll take some time. It'll take some time. And then I was sitting out there in India in 2008 and getting ready to have a happy Christmas, and suddenly bang, this thing hit. And then I woke up with a shock and realized it's come. And that was when I really started also getting interested in this climate change, because I am not really an economist, so when I look at the economy, I look at it in terms of the way people are behaving. So why is it that people are not buying anything? So what happened? And is it really true that all these bankers made these big blunders and stuff like that? I don't really believe it. People are not buying, people generally don't buy when they get afraid. Normally they're afraid. So what are they afraid of? What's on the horizon that we should be afraid of? And that's when I realized, this global climate change thingy may be what is scaring people. They may not be aware of it as the Bonibilla out there, but in the back of their mind, because we are getting feedback from our environment and from the various data sources we are exposed to, something I think was getting them scared. And if you look at it, they've got more and more scared. They haven't got less scared over the last 2 or 3 years. So it is from this perspective that I found these 4 big, very interesting problems, which I have been discussing with these 2 guys. And they call these 4 big problems the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse now, and they turned it into a musical production which maybe we can listen to later. But let me tell you what the 4 problems are. Okay, again, I don't know whether I should be calling them problems, but there is this thing called resources which we use for whatever that we do. And these resources are getting depleted. Now it's ridiculous to say something that the resources are being depleted. We are living on this huge planet and we are such tiny things. And how are we going to deplete these resources? No way, there's plenty of stuff. When I was a kid, everybody told me there was plenty of stuff. Don't worry about it. But the problem is access to those resources. And I'm told now by some of my friends in the field that stuff like aluminium, these are very resource intensive products. And so we have a problem with resources. Right. Then we look around and we find there's another one. That's this pollution and the global climate change. Now people tell me that the 2 are related. Whether they are related or not, I don't know. But there seems to be a problem called pollution. Okay, it may be carbon dioxide or it may be anything, but there's pollution because we are producing things, and in the process of producing things we are throwing stuff away which we don't want, and the stuff which we throw away is actually poisonous stuff, and it gets into our water supply, gets into our atmosphere, gets into our food. Doesn't look too good. So we have pollution, global climate change. Then we have this global monetary collapse, which I'm honestly not an expert in, but it's pretty scary because it looks like the whole economy is running on trust. And it looks like people are losing confidence in things like the dollar, things like the euro. They're making a quick scramble for gold. I don't know whether that actually solves any kind of problem. But there is this thing, global monetary collapse, which is actually happening on a minute-to-minute basis because these transactions go on by the second. So every day you can see a little bit of deterioration. So I watch it and I think, now what do we do? No quick answers, but it's happening. And the 4th one actually is a horrifying thing, because that is the increasing incredibility of this growth model of development. And when you look at it, it's scary because every single developmental plan that I have ever come across in my life is based on growth. And when you have rapid resource depletion and the growth model of development, that looks pretty scary to me. So actually, what I've been doing, okay, I can't solve these problems maybe, but I can look for a solution, not really a solution maybe, but I can look for ways by which we can respond. There can be different kinds of responses. There can be responses aimed at let's solve the problem kind of responses like that, or there could be other responses like let's see how we can minimize the impact of this thing which doesn't look too thrilling. So there could be various kinds of responses, but I think that now one of the things we have as a psychologist, I'm very much aware of, is that human beings, when they are faced with something that looks really bad, they tend to go into denial or black it out in some way, or think about it when you're saying a prayer in the morning and then forget about it for the rest of the day, continue doing stuff which is actually contributing to the issue. That kind of thing is there. So I think it's important for us to get people, okay, there's no need to panic them, but at least tell them there's an issue like this which we have to respond to. So let's get our resources together, let's think, let's study it, and let's see how we can respond to this kind of situation. So I have set up this thing called the Foundation for Civilization and Transformation and Conscious Evolution. to just look at these problems. We are not out there to do any great stuff, but we are there to study these issues and see what can be done. Now, it's taken me about a year to register this because I had to go and explain to the registrar of companies what is this, this transformation of civilization and conscious evolution and the whole set of objectives. It took me months to get past the guy. So he finally agreed and it's registered as a non-profit. So, but in the meantime, while all this process was going on, we've been doing some work. And one thing that we think may be interesting is to see, to look at what are the most fundamental systems that we require in order to support the human species. Because we can't live alone. Nobody can live as an individual. You need some kind of interaction. You need support. You need help. So what are these? If there was a situation where we are threatened with, okay, we're going to bust you guys. You got a choice. Tell us what you want to survive. Let's then look at it from that point of view and see what are the support systems that we would then want to preserve, and let us look at the credibility of preserving those support systems. We were talking about transport, a very classic example. Can we preserve the current transport systems in a situation where, for instance, running out of oil? It may not be possible. Then we have to decide, do we want transport systems or shall we throw it away in that case? So then we look at it, we have 7 billion people, we have to move food around for them, maybe you have to move other things around for them. No, we can't really do without a transport system. Fine.